overpowered that protecting the people he cares about is the easiest thing in the world. Like everyone else in the Asterisk War, Haruka's existence seems like it was intended to fulfill a narrative purpose more so than anything else. She exists so that Ayato can have a guardian figure who is responsible for his sense of morality and even possibly for his combat abilities, as well as to facilitate a mysterious connection between Ayato and the school. Her personality is only revealed in as much as what is necessary in order to fulfill these narrative goals. It's entirely possible that we may one day learn about Haruka's personality and motivations in more depth, but given the overall dearth of creative ideas in this series so far, I would be absolutely fucking shocked if such a thing were to happen. Episode 2 is also our introduction to Saya, and I don't think it's even remotely exaggerating to describe her entirely in TV tropes terms. Deadpan lolly, childhood friend, hammer space, done. Why is Saya in love with Ayato? Because she's his childhood friend. We are literally given no other explanation. In fact, after it's revealed that they were childhood friends, it seems like the show just figures that we assumed she was in love with him and doesn't even bother building up to it or stating it outright. She just immediately starts fighting over him. Why does Saya attend this school? Because her father is apparently a sort of mad scientist who constantly comes up with new and crazy weapons, and she wants to help promote those weapons by using them in combat. Why is this relevant to the show? Because it would be really adorable and funny if there's this little girl who's always pulling out gigantic guns. Why does Saya have this personality? I'm not sure. In fact, her personality confuses me a little because it kind of fails at being the cliche that it sets out to be. I know that's a strange and pretentious sounding statement, but hear me out. The deadpan lolly is usually a very strict and specific character archetype. These characters very rarely speak or react to things going on around them, and when they do, their reaction is always deadpan. They may have moments of determination and jump in to protect their friends, but it feels like they have to muster up all of their energy just to do so, or otherwise their priorities and abilities are so alien that we can barely comprehend them. They're usually tired and non-committal, and if they're a part of the main character's harem, then they act like the guy belongs to them just because he does. Saya has most of the harem, then they act like the guy belongs to them just because he does. Saya has most of these elements, but her deadpan act isn't very convincing. In spite of her having missed a day of class due to oversleeping and then regularly passing out, she ends up being a lot more talkative and proactive in the following episodes, and is a lot more clearly motivated than a typical character of her archetype. Now, if you wanted to, you could view this as breaking convention. Maybe this is the type of character that they wanted to make. But I can't shake the feeling like this was just a really awkwardly failed attempt at making a deadpan lolly character. The proactive and fiery attitude that she takes towards her competitiveness with the other girls just kind of seems at odds with the sleepy and non-committal nature that she's presented with at the start. Maybe I'm reading too deep into all this, particularly as someone who is a fan of the deadpan lolly archetype, but that's just how it comes across to me. Not that it matters, because Saya is completely fucking extraneous, and you could cut her from the show entirely and it would change absolutely nothing because she exists exclusively for the sake of being able to shoehorn a deadpan lolly childhood friend Hammerspace character into the story. Here's a list of other better deadpan lollies just in the name of providing examples. Now, I don't necessarily think that a viewer needs to be able to recognize these cliches or to be able to provide examples of other characters who follow the same archetypes in order to recognize that these are cliched characters. Even if you've only seen a handful of different anime series, you will probably suspect that these are not the most interesting or unique characters in the medium, because all of them have so little in the way of personality or motivations. They aren't the kind of characters that you easily connect with or understand, and if you've even heard the word tsundere before, then you could probably figure out that Euless is one of them. However, I do think that the more familiar a viewer becomes with these cliches, the more annoying they become. I think if you challenged me to try and name 100 tsundere characters in less than 20 minutes, then I would be able to do so with time to spare. I have seen tsundere who were the main characters of some of my favorite anime, such as Taiga from Toradora. I heard the term for the first time in 2007 when I was being disappointed in characters like Shana and Nagi Sanzanin, and I've seen characters following this archetype from before the term even existed, like Akane from Ranma 1/2, or even, to an extent, Yukino Miyazawa from Kare Kano, one of my favorite anime characters. I've seen decent tsundere like Asuna and Misaka, and I've seen terrible cliché tsundere from, nearly everything this season. Every single time I see a new tsundere, that tsundere is going to be compared to every other tsundere that I've seen before. Is she as complex and interesting as Asuka Langley? Is she as cool and likable as Makise Kurisu? Is she as hot as Suzumiya Haruhi? Probably not. This is why it bothers me so much to watch a show full of cliché characters. Not only have I seen it all done elsewhere, but I've seen it all done better. I liked Claudia more when she was Tomoe Mami. I liked Yulis more when she was Kashiwazaki Sena, and I liked Saya more when she was the last remaining original. I mean, when she was Ezumori Nozomu. It's bad enough that the characters in this show are a bunch of one-note, boring pieces of cardboard that I can't relate to, but when you throw in that I've seen a million other characters exactly like them but better, it just becomes insurmountably tiring. And I haven't even really talked about the main character guy yet, but we can dig into him a little more when we get back to following the show in chronological fashion, because apparently I'm still watching this shit. Continued in part 5.